Good afternoon, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing good. Doing good. No more rain. It's decent weather, and I know you're just talking. You have 80-degree weather out there.
Yeah,
Um,
and we don't get rain.
yeah. Um, Thanks for watching. We have the reboot. Wednesdays, 1:30 Eastern. Today, we're going to talk about why your business needs a SOC and discuss what a SOC is, benefits. And before we get into that, I am Brian Bratcher with B&L PC Solutions, based out of Long Island, New York.
I'm David Luff with LDD Consulting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Cool. So let's talk about SOC. That's a term that's been around forever. It's an acronym for Security Operations Center. And years ago, let's talk about old school businesses and how they used to function. Right? They would, at the end of the day, they'd take anything that was safe and either lock it up in the office or um, put it in a safe, and then maybe security cameras and lock your doors and leave. And that was it. That was the security of your business. And that's what you had, right? Maybe some people had a better alarm system than others, but that's just how things were. Now, fast forward to today, with, as you all know, everything is on your mobile device and at your fingertips and at your employees' fingertips, and without any real protection in place, you're possibly putting yourself and your business at a significant risk for compromise, right? We know that we always tell prospects, clients, that it's not if, it's just a matter of when. And the when is, your damages are going to be determined by what controls you have in place. Are those controls maybe a really good antivirus or an EDR or a SOC? And the SOC has been around for a while, and used to be you couldn't staff or build your own SOC. It just wasn't. There was no. The cost outweighed the benefit. It would be millions of dollars to have a staff and a network that can look at inspect everything going in and out of your company 24/7. You're talking millions of dollars to build that. What we have today is the ability to add these SOC services to your existing infrastructure, and the amount of service that they provide. I mean, and they can be tailored. They're not all the same. There's different levels, but we have the majority of our clients on some flavor of a SOC solution. And what that does is it does a bunch of different things, but for the most part, I mean, high level overview, log collection. So we're taking firewall logs, workstation logs, server logs, switch logs, and putting them into a central repository that's being looked at real time by a staff of 24/7, cyber heroes, whatever you want to call them. But these are the experts that are going through this data. Um, it's an aggregate collection of these different data sources, and then you want to be able to have some type of threat intelligence built into there. So what we have, one benefit that we have with the SOC we use and that we have our clients on, is as soon as it sees. So this is the difference where a SOC kind of outperforms an EDR or an antivirus. It looks at the behavior on the computer. If it sees something that is going on that device, whether it be a piece of ransomware trying to phone home, and you may have layers of protection to stop that from happening, which is good. But the SOC will see that attempt and then go take it one step further. If that device is trying to do any damage, encrypt any data, do anything outside what it should be doing, the SOC can take that device, take it offline, and prevent any lateral spreading across the network. So now you've not only are you protecting that device, now you've reduced the risk completely of your entire network being compromised because of that. And then the SOC will look at what happened, what transpired, that machine's offline, open up tickets with us, call us, and go as far as you allow them to. So with those controls in place, it's just something that businesses today, we highly recommend every business have some layer or flavor of a SOC built
Yeah.
into the infrastructure.
And just, well, two things. One, just like you mentioned, last week we had a customer where our tech was doing some things and it looked suspicious, and the SOC actually isolated the server from the network and he lost complete activity on it. And they thought they were protecting, and they called me like 10 times from 11 o'clock Sunday night till 4 in the morning on Monday. And when I talked to them, we investigated the situation. There was nothing malicious, but it was great to know that they're actually paying attention and doing this all the time.
Yeah.
And the other really good thing about a SOC, and you mentioned that, was that they're experts at this, so they really know what to look for. Whereas if you've hired your own staff and you're asking them, that's like getting a guy who knows how to change oil in a car and asking him to rebuild your motor.
Right.
He's not going to be good at it. He might think he knows what he's doing, but these guys, they see all this stuff all the time and they know what to look for.
Yeah. And now we're seeing a lot of, whether it be insurance companies or we're seeing it with some compliance requirements that businesses have to be able to monitor and validate that these controls are in place, and the SOC is doing that for you. There, you can go in there and pretty much fully auditable. You could search for anything you want on your own, so everything is logged. It's all there. We had a client call us up and ask if they thought that something was compromised, and well, not only would we have known real time if it was, so we kind of let them know that, but said, well, what's going on? What are you experiencing? And then we went through the logs and were able to share with them pretty much on demand. We searched and exported the log data that we needed and gave that to them and pretty much showed them that everything was fine. They were going through something weird on their network, but nothing malicious. So again, having that layer there, that is, you don't want to know something happened, 2 weeks ago, and you may not be able to go back that far in your current infrastructure. I know for a fact that I can go. Let's say I have retention policies built into the SOC that we use, that we want to be able to go back a year, or maybe you need a longer period of time for your compliance or other reasons. But you have the ability to do that. You probably can't do that today if you don't have the controls in place to do that. Another layer that we protect is the Microsoft or G Suite environment. So we layer on top of the Microsoft environment, and the way that works is we can see, we get notified, and again, everything, we have rules and automations built in that can go directly to our end clients. They can come to us and get dumped into a monitoring queue or whatever. But we can see if somebody, they're set up on their Office 365, they have it on their phone, they have it on their computer. That's all well and good. If they go on vacation and they log in from their spouse's or a different computer, they sign into their account, they're just going to let us know that this user account just signed in on a device that they have never used before, right? That's a notification. We get that report and we hold on to it. Another notification we get is that they logged into, they were in the US this morning and they just logged in from Italy. Just letting us know. So what we do when we get any type of, geographical changes, we reach out to the client and just confirm that, just making sure you're logging in and you're out of the country. And they really do appreciate, and it's real time. As soon as it happens, we get the notification, we send it to them, and they reply right away that, yes, that's me. Thank you for checking. And that's just another layer that, because if that happens today, would you know if your account got compromised and from somebody, and let's be honest here, it's highly likely that if you're compromised, it's from a different country. So you'd want to know if your account was breached. Do you have those controls in place today? And I'll tell you, our clients would not have if we didn't put a SOC service on top of their on their network now.
The other thing that they do that's nice, we had a we had a customer before they were a customer, and they had an internal employee that was doing malicious things.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, our SOC that's monitoring our 365 will tell us if there's a file share or something also,
Yep.
which is nice
Yep.
because they already have permissions to log in and get everything. But if they're doing things that are malicious, you would still get alerts there too. So that's pretty nice too.
Yeah, we see, and we put rules in place, but we're able to. We want to look for data exfiltration. Like if one of your employees right now went on, and again, this could be an on-prem server that you have, or a OneDrive, SharePoint, cloud service. If they take, and you could say how much data you want to be alerted about, but let's say it's you want to go by size wise and say if 10 meg of data moves from point A to point B, I want to know about it. And what you're looking for there is you're checking the box for data exfiltration. So and what we've experienced is when we had clients on this service during COVID, we were blowing up with alerts that there was potential data exfiltration from some clients, and because it saw a large amount of data leaving the computer, you're talking, hundreds of megabytes up to gigabytes of data leaving, which is really concerning because that sounds like someone doing a data dump or something, pulling something off the network. But we just go one step further, obviously look at the source and the destination, and it happened to be a Zoom meeting because all these online meetings it's pushing data up to the cloud. So it saw that volume and just alerted us. And then we put rules in place to say, well, we're going to allow Zoom. You could still log it, but we don't need it to be alerted about that. But there's things that you don't normally think about, and we have and even if we want to get into costs, we were talking about how it would be potentially millions of dollars to get this set up years ago, and even today to build your own is. I mean, you could do the math on staffing. You want this well, first of all, you need a data center, right? That's the physical, cap expense. But then your labor. How many people are going to be looking at how many endpoints 24/7, 365? You need, I don't know, a dozen bodies, 20 bodies at 100 plus K per year, whatever it is. You do the math on that. So outsourcing is definitely the way to go. Have the right controls in place. Now you can do this for, anywhere from, I think the average is probably $20 to $30 per endpoint per month. So if you have, 10 computers, you're able to do this, for $200. It's a no-brainer to me. I think it's just, a layer that is it shouldn't even be. We don't really give options for any of our new clients, our prospects. We just bundle it in, and it's there, but it's not something that can be line item that could be taken off because it's that important, and it's not it's not a highly profitable solution for us. It gets added onto our stack, but the importance is that we're seeing these compromises. Whether it be someone calling us that's experiencing something that's not even a client, we've dealt with that before. But more importantly, it's knowing that you have these layers in place. When it does happen, you're going to kick yourself in the butt if you didn't have something like this in place. The ability to self-isolate endpoints that are experiencing something, any type of rogue software or malicious attack. This is stopping it. This is literally, on top of having other tools and controls in place. Microsoft does a great job on putting some compliance rules in there. Like if, we set up, if you send out any financial data and it's not an encrypted email, there's policies there that are going to inform you that this email didn't go out because it contains an account number or contained XYZ. It didn't even leave the network at that point because it was flagged. So it's having the controls in place along with a SOC. Like I said, the SOC's going to do all that data collection from all these other assets that you have, and it's a central repository where you can go in there and at any time pull up this data, and it's really remarkable. I mean, we've had great success with it.
It is pretty amazing, all the data that they track.
It's insane. I mean, the amount of stuff flowing in and out, you can't. And we have a client that has an on-prem SIM. It's through SolarWinds, and you can look at the console and it's constantly scrolling with live data just being dumped into it, and that's on I don't know, a 60, 70 user network. So it's a decent size, not huge. I mean, nothing nowhere near the hundreds of thousands of employees, but on the smaller side. But you cannot read anything coming into that. It's just collecting all that data that quickly and logging it. And it's fully, like I said, it's fully searchable. Do Boolean searches, do regular search. It doesn't matter. You can search for whatever you want and find it. And then through on the compliance side, along with the SOC, we have other solutions that are able to audit the USB access, and not only USB, but let's say that they know that an employee is leaving. It's a willful departure, and they gave their 2 weeks, and they're going to allow them to have their 2 weeks. What are they doing in that 2 weeks? Like, can you control that today? Do you have an idea on if they're dumping data to a USB, or if they're sending out a bunch of emails with stuff attached to it that maybe they shouldn't be? Are they setting up auto forwards? Like, do you have the controls in place? Again, all about privacy, data protection, and having the controls in place to do that. It's not a set it and forget it. I mean, there's stuff that has to be done and tweaked and changes made because there's new compliance regulations out, and you have to just be on top of it and still do your quarterly reviews on the controls and make sure that that the right people are getting the information. Maybe for some clients that we're providing, which we are for a few, just a SOC service. That's all we do for them. Everything else is handled, whether it be internally in a co-managed situation or by a different IT company. They're doing their support, but we're handling the SOC side of it. Maybe the client didn't want to be informed about this, but in your quarterly checkups, just making sure you don't want any alerts going to you. You still want them going to this. And it's at that point where, you know what, I do want to know about it. You can make those changes. So it's still a process. It's not like I said, it's not a one-time setup, but it's a I hate to call it, it's your overall security posture on the business is what you should be focusing on, especially today.
Yeah. I mean, you can either wait till after you get breached,
right,
and deal with all of that cost and being out of business for a week or two, and then the negative impact it has just from your customers, and
we've talked about that too. The amount of money that there's a couple of different things that are affected here, right? If you're breached, what is that monetary loss, right? Are they demanding a ransomware, and do you have to pay it because that data is that important to you, which you're validating to the hackers at that point that, number one, you have money, number two, you care about your data, right? So with that in place, and you go and pay that, so what, I don't know, call it $500,000, call it $5 million, whatever it is, whatever that dollar amount is, you'll pay whatever you have to get that back. Secondary to that is what's it going to cost you reputationally? So if not only is that data important to you, but what about data privacy? Now your entire client list and financials of your clients has been leaked. You're out of business potentially with something like that. And
it's like car insurance too. Well, it's not like car insurance, but your insurance is going to go up too because you got breached, and that's usually on part of the checklist. If you have a bunch of car wrecks and you try to get car insurance, they're going to be like, sure, that'll be $5,000 a month.
Yeah. And you mentioned insurance. A good thing to know also is that you fill out these insurance forms and these questionnaires that we see them every day. We're looking at that one. I got a couple on my desk now that you go through them. There's not a chance that if you said, "Oh, yes, I have this. I'm doing this. if you get breached and they come to you and say, all right, well, you said you had you can do a rollback from your firewall on activity. Let me take a look at that, and you don't have that, or you have the ability to parse through logs because you have a SIM, and you just said yes to that, and you don't. Not only are they not paying the claim, they're dropping your coverage, right? So now you have nothing. So so why even pay? And insurance, cyber insurance isn't that bad. I mean, it's definitely something you need to have for sure, right? You want to have that layer of protection. There's no we make new clients. It's a requirement that you have to have cyber insurance. You have to have some policy in place because the assumption is, well, you're my IT guy. You're handling our security. You're doing this, and it's like, well, yes, 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 but I am not the insurance company. I'm not the one responsible here. We have our own insurance that we have multiple policies that we have to carry, but it's like, you still need your own. But that's if you say yes to those questionnaires and you're committing insurance fraud at that point, and and then you're opening yourself up to lawsuits and all this other stuff. But it's just not it's not worth it. Not for what, like I said, what it costs for some of these services is a couple $100 a month for 10 computers, and you do the math on it, however many you have. I mean, and that's what it is. I mean, that alone is worth knowing that you're that much closer to minimizing your exposure and minimizing your risks, and you have built-in mitigation into the solution. So, yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dave?
Not that I can think of, but yeah, I mean, either do it now or you do it after you get breached. And
but we think everybody needs it. I mean, there's not one business that we know of that we would say, nah, you don't need it. The risk is for
I'm
everybody.
just saying people will do that, but they'll do it after they get breached. It's like,
right.
You get an alarm system before you get broken into or after.
Right. Exactly.
But this is like having a cop out your front door just watching over everything also.
24/7.
Yep.
Not at your front door, your front door, your back door, bird's eye view of your house, everything. It's every entry point is
good point.
Is monitored and protected. So
yes,
we will leave on that.
And it is pretty amazing the alerts we get, even if they're noisy. It gives you confidence.
Absolutely. All right, Dave. Well, we'll chat again next week.
Sounds good. You have a good week.
You too. See ya.
Enjoy the rain.